I am so happy to see everyone here, and a very warm welcome to all of you on this very special occasion. As I look across the room, I am mindful of and thankful for all who worked so hard to make this a reality. From those who worked on this daily throughout their many years career with King County, I think everyone should have a Jamelia Cage, Art Green, Michelle Garvey, Beth Taylor, Gay Boyce. The list goes on, people who have been devoting their time and energy to this for multiple years. And to those who provide exceptional leadership and commitment to juvenile justice and juvenile justice reform, including all of the presiding judges who pressed for this improvement and who all of them are here with us today. Leaders Dan Satterberg, who has been an advocate for juvenile reform. And I want to very much thank the people who have returned to us today. Deputy Chief Executive Fred Jarrett, former Facilities Director Kathy Brown. I understand that Judge Norma Huggins has returned to be with us today. Alyssa Benson has flown up from California to join us. And I know that there are many others in this room who have traveled some distance, both figuratively and literally, to be with us. We honor today two exceptional women, and we honor the children and families who will receive the services they deserve in this beautiful facility. You will hear this afternoon about a new service delivery model, about the many women and men who painstakingly crafted this building to be a respectful, service-focused environment, and about the integration of juvenile justice and community public health. We will together honor the memory of our beloved Judge Patricia Hall Clark and our equally powerful judge advocate and friend, Justice Bobby Bridge. Judge Clark and Justice Bridge, women of considerable energy, intellect, passion, and wisdom, work tirelessly to assure our community's children and families receive the respect as exhibited by this beautiful new building and the services contained herein to assure happy, productive, and opportunity-filled lives. To get us started, we begin with the King County's CAO for the Department of Executive Services, Carolyn Whalen, and the Executive Branch Criminal Justice Strategy and Policy Manager, Marcus Stubblefield.
Thank you, Paul. On behalf of the executive and all the staff who made this building a reality, and that's staff across all three bridges of King County government, thank you for joining us today to mark this major milestone. I'm pleased to see so many current and past members of the Oversight Committee. We have gathered nearly every Wednesday morning at 7:45 a.m. To struggle with scope, schedule, and budget issues that face this project. And I'm really delighted that our years of meetings and effort have brought us to completion here today. I particularly want to recognize the longest standing members of that committee, and that includes Councilmember Kathy Lambert and Paul Sherfy. So we're the members who have been there from the beginning of the Oversight Committee. It's been more than 15 years since we began the long and winding road journey that brings us here today to replace the Youth Service Center. Some parts of the center over here are more than 6 decades old, and frankly, it shows. Most of you here today know firsthand about the cramped spaces, dim hallways, and aging systems, and other issues in the current Youth Service Center that make it less than a respectful environment for those we serve and our valued employees. This new facility, the Patricia Hall Clark Children and Family Justice Center, reflects what we've learned over the last few decades about what makes public spaces work well for people and the environment. Instead of shutting out nature, this building welcomes it in. I'm really glad the sun's out. For example, I know you notice the expansive glass wall in the lobby area that lets all that natural light in. When the old YSC is demolished, there will be a magnificent view of Mount Rainier. This building also reflects what we've learned about the human brain and how young people's minds continue to develop into their 20s. Working with design experts and by listening to the community, we've built a respectful environment to serve youth and their families. The feedback we received during design and construction helped us improve what was envisioned in 2012 when we asked voters to make this investment.
Welcome. Come on, man, liven up a little bit. You know, this is a celebration. I think we're all here and we know why we're here. Today, we also recognize the groundbreaking work that is taking place as a result of the county's public health approach to juvenile justice. Only one in the county that is looking at, only one in the country that is looking at doing that, and I think that's revolutionary. As many of you may recall, 2 years ago, Executive Constantine directed a restructuring of the juvenile detention services. The dedicated YSC staff, and that's Youth Service Center staff, have partnered with public health to think differently about how we deliver services to youth. YSC staff are implementing new approaches and new strategies to put and keep our young people on a positive life path. This new facility physically represents that new way of doing business. And while we already started reforms in the old YSC, the Patricia H. Clark Children and Family Justice Center's flexible design gives us an even better ability to do this work. We know that King County will continue to grow and change. And this facility is designed from the ground up to adapt to those changes as we progress our goal to achieve zero youth detention. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline and Marcus. And you heard Caroline mention the significant involvement in this project by Councilmember Lambert. And she has been on this journey all along. And I'm going to ask Councilmember Lambert to say a few words with us, for us.
Thank you. It is a privilege to be here, and it is a privilege to see all of you here, because this has not been a single undertaking. This has been the work of many, 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 many hands, and as he said, for years. So first of all, I want to talk about the naming. I first met Judge Clark when I was a state legislator, and we were going around the state looking at who are the best judges, and she was one of the ones that we chose as the very best judge. Why? Because she was kind, compassionate, tough, and determined. And all those qualities was really important. And then another person, who at the time was Judge Bridge, came to see us in Olympia. And she said, you know, juvenile court in King County could be very, very different. We could unite all the things together so that people don't have conflicting orders. Let's do something called a unified family court. And I don't know if everybody knows, we wouldn't have a unified family court possibility if it hadn't been for that legislation. So thank you, Judge, at the time. And then as justice, after that, all the work that you've done being the board chair of Department of Public Defense for all those years, as well as your work with anti-gang behaviors. We could not have had two better women to name this building after, and I'm very excited about that. We could not have had a better day to have this, because this is the date of the passing of Judge Clark. And so it's a significant day. I also want to say thank you to all the people that were on that 7:30, got moved to 7:45, back to 7:30, then 7:45 meetings, and were awake. None of us came in our pajamas. But they were really important meetings. The judges were there, the staff was there, and the staff, while they had to carry out all the things, never complained. And it was really impressive. So I really want to thank the staff for all the hard work that you did. People sometimes say that government doesn't work very well. If you had been in that room, you would have seen the three branches of government doing exactly what the three branches of government could do. We had lots of obstacles thrown at us, and we never, ever gave up. Today we have a beautiful building that's respectful of the people whose lives will be changed here, and it's all because of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lambert. We have been fortunate in Superior Court to enjoy truly visionary leadership by those who have served as Chief Juvenile Judge in recent history. Bobby Bridge, Patricia Clark, Laura Inveen, Helen Halpert, Phil Hubbard, Wesley St. Clair, and our current Chief, Judy Ramsire. As you will now hear from Judge Ramsire, the spirit of juvenile justice and juvenile justice reform is embraced in all that occurs within these walls, always in focusing on improving the lives of children and families. Judge Ramsire.
Thank you, Paul. Like the others, as Chief Juvenile Court Judge, I am just honored to welcome you all to the naming ceremony of the Patricia H. Clark Children and Family Justice Center and the Bobby J. Bridge Resource Center. I'm particularly honored that Judge Clark's family and Justice Bridge and her family are here with us today. It makes it very special. Judge Clark advocated to combine all family and juvenile court services in one location, believing that we would work more collaboratively, more effectively, and certainly more conveniently for the youth and families we serve. And she's soon to realize that vision as all juvenile court matters, both the offender and the dependency side of juvenile court, soon will begin operations in this building. Justice Bender, or Justice Bridge, worked tirelessly to create a safety net of resources for youth and families who are underserved all throughout this region. These are two dynamic and indomitable women without whom we may not be sitting here today. Like the others have, however, I too want to acknowledge and thank all of the people who worked on this project over literally more than a decade. From campaigning for funding to, as others have said, attending more 7:30 a.m. meetings than anyone can calculate. That obviously made an impression on people. Legal representation in any number of venues, public meetings, selecting fabric swatches or material finishes, and on and on and on. Many of you are here, and this could not have happened without everyone's contribution, and so we thank you all for your dedication to getting us to this point today. I love this building. I love the soaring windows and the natural light that fills the building. I love the courtrooms where there is actually space for family members and supporters or interested parties in a matter, or just public members to come and observe their courts at work. I love the many private spaces where confidential conversations can be held, or where people who are feeling the strain of the difficult things we handle in juvenile court can simply find a little solitude, or a respite from the chaos that they're feeling. The daycare center, the rain garden, and the green roof, and I love the uplifting and thought-provoking art all throughout this building. Thank you, For Culture, for helping this building become such a showplace. It really is, I think, a spectacular public building. But the building is just the vessel. And what most excites me is how it supports and accelerates the work that we do in juvenile court. This is the first time in decades, and frankly, maybe ever, that the space in which juvenile court operates reflects the respect and care that the people who work in juvenile court feel for the youth and families we serve. King County Juvenile Court has long been a leader in juvenile justice reform. We understand that youth and adults can be held accountable, and families and communities can be made safer, but at the same time that resources are being offered to them to help them grow and evolve. To change behavior, juvenile court must operate on therapeutic principles. If we want young people to socialize with positive role models, we need to connect them with authentic and enduring relationships in the community. If we want young people to make good decisions, we need to offer incentives to make those choices attractive to them. And if we want young people to aspire to succeed, we need to reward their incremental effort and not simply punish their failures. So to augment that therapeutic framework, the Bobby Bridge Resource Center really is the heart of this building. In that space, many of our community service providers will have a physical location. The court also has developed an app that supports and expands access to those individualized service providers in the community. And so a probation counselor, a social worker, a family member, one of our community neighbors can walk into the resource center or log on to the app and be connected with a service that will help them with school or work or mental health or substance abuse or housing or medical or whatever the issues are that they need to deal with to overcome the challenges that they're facing. That's very exciting for us and is the direction that the court is moving to make sure that community service providers are involved in every person's life. We know that court involvement is temporary, but skill building and access to opportunity is long-term and sustaining. And so with leaders like Judge Clark and Justice Bridge kind of pushing us from behind, and the Children and Family Justice Center's dignified and functional spaces inspiring us forward, King County will continue to lead reform toward a continuum of juvenile justice and dependency care that is more effective and more just. And so again, I want to welcome you to the new Patricia Clark Children and Family Justice Center.
Thank you, Judge Ramsire. As has been mentioned by several presenters, there is a group of people here in this room who spent virtually every Wednesday morning together before the county doors open to the public, discussing brick and mortar, feedback from the community, steel tariffs, interest due on debt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. At one of those early morning meetings, the amazing project director, Jim Burt, was somewhat uncharacteristically, and for Jim in a very animated way, was describing the degree of perfection in the tile work in this facility. Coming from a man who is probably the quietest, calmest person God ever created, an oversight committee member was moved to ask if Jim was okay. Such was the caring that went into the Patricia Hall Clark Children and Family Justice Center from the construction firms and the county's facility employees. You will now hear about that effort from both our Unflappable Facilities Director, Anthony Wright, and from Agnes Fraser, from Howard S. Wright, and Patrick Donnelly from Integris. And if our technology cooperates today, you will actually hear from many of the people who actually constructed this building.
So you know who's who? I'm Tony Wright. This is Patrick Donnelly. Angus Fraser. Okay, so I just, I'm an old Army guy, so I have to greet everybody as part of my opening comments for this speech. And I tried to write all the judges' names down, but I don't think I got them. So I'm going to say, first, welcome to the family of Judge Clark, and welcome, Justice Bridge. This is a building that all of us, as a team, are extraordinarily proud of. It's been a long road to get here, as many people have described this, and that road is, many people have been on that road. Some of them started at the beginning and went part way through. Some of them, like me, jumped in, I guess about halfway through, and started working with it. I want to recognize my predecessor, Kathy Brown. Where's she hiding at? Okay. So she gets credit for half of the meetings, and we've talked about, I also have my old deputy who's gone on to greater things as the deputy administrative officer for a county in California. Elisa, where you at? Okay, good. Okay. You know, all journeys are made. A lot of people, and we talk about everybody standing their watch, and a lot of people stood their watch and then went on to other things. People like Gabe Boyce and Marissa Sindel stood their watch. They kept doing, they contributed their part and continued to move forward. You've heard discussions about Jim. This project would not have succeeded without his professionalism, dedication, and skill. And when I look at when I needed to do something or I needed to cause him more problems, which is more often, I could look at him and we'd figure out how we would do that. And he would link together with this team. And that's what design build teams are supposed to be. They're supposed to be a team that carries the project through the finish line. I've done $6 or $7 billion with the design build work along the way, and the team unravels in many of those circumstances, but this team didn't. This team was committed to delivering the building you see here today. This team has given us a facility that is remarkable and is above all of our expectations. It contributed dramatically to the economy. We had an apprenticeship program that far exceeded the standards which we called for in this, bringing lots of people, many of them from this neighborhood, and many of them former customers of the facility over here, into an apprenticeship program and getting them working and starting on a great path. The 220 people working here on average every day. That's a big deal. More masonry in this building than any other construction project in Seattle for a couple of years. So there's a lot of things that make this a special place. But what makes it a special place isn't the little facts of how many football fields or how many truckloads of concrete. It's the passion of the people who saw the vision of a better building and who daily put the time in, working with all of the other stakeholders that were helping us get here. It's that passion that delivered this building that can then better serve the children and family of the county. And that's who I want to thank, and I was just privileged to work with them. Whichever one of you guys wants to go first.
Hi, I'm Angus Fraser. I was one of the several superintendents for the general contractor at Howard S. Wright, Balfour Beatty. And Tony just took about all of my points right there, to be honest with you. I joined the team, I think, in the summer of 2015, so a few years, but and it's been an amazingly satisfying process and an amazing amount of work, but it's fantastic to see this building and finished in such a beautiful space. But the design build team's been together for several years, but as I hear everybody speaking here, it's amazing the number of years and the effort and the dedication that Judge Clark and Justice Bridge put forward. And hopefully this building is their vision. So I'm really proud to be part of this. There's several of our team members that aren't here. They're actually at the Design Build conference in Las Vegas this week. And I know I speak for them and all the many subcontractors and, as Tony said, the hundreds of craftspeople that were involved in this project, that we're extremely proud to be part of it. And it's been a great project. And again, I speak for them. Everyone, to a man, I think would say they're very proud to have been part of this project, and really satisfying seeing it finished. Such a beautiful space. Thanks.
Thanks, Angus. I should say, well, I'm Patrick Donnelly with Integris Architecture, and I should say that one of the things I've learned in this project is whenever I'm following Angus, I'm pretty sure I'm on the right path. So I'm glad he spoke first. Just to reiterate what Tony and Angus said, one of the things I'm hearing somewhat for the first time today is the incredible efforts and years of efforts that took place that preceded us, before we came on the scene. We're really latecomers to this project. And so it makes it that much more gratifying to realize that we are fulfilling the vision that was created through the hard work of so many other people. So it's really great to hear that. I also want to say that as a design team member, the commitment and the professionalism from the folks at the county that we worked with that led this effort was really remarkable. And they've already been acknowledged. Jim Burt, Gabe Boyce, Art Green, Jamila Cage, so many people, Michelle Garvey, but they really, really made this possible for the design team to function in the way that we did. I also just want to say that this building wouldn't be what it is without such a great design team led by Howard S. Wright. So it's been wonderful working with them. After a while, in a few years, most of the effort behind this building will be forgotten because we all move on. But the thing that's going to endure and what makes it gratifying to be standing here is that the work that the county's doing, that's so important in supporting this community, is going to be served by this building. And that makes it really special to be here and delivering this building to you today. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
What's been the best part of working on the Children and Family Justice Center project?
It's been the amazing collaboration with all the people that have been working on the project with the county and design build partners and our partner architects. The community got involved in it. There were so many different folks that actually helped inform the design of the building through the process. That's probably been the most joyful part, is people working together to make a difference in this amazing facility. And
it's also been learning about the contributions and the expertise of all the different players, whether it's the staff at the county and what they do and how much they care, or whether it's the amazing construction team and the amazing skill level. It's very deep with Howard S. Wright. So
just the collaborative process amongst all the people that were involved, whether it be King County, HOK, Integris, all our subcontractors, suppliers, sub-tier consultants. It's been an amazing team approach. The courtyard that we see that's right behind us over here, this idea about making a place that we all get daylight in, where people can work together and actually have a calming atmosphere as they come into the facility. This was about collaboration in the design process with the builder and the architects and the county. What's the heart and soul of this place?
So tell me about the color themes in this building.
Yeah, so we worked really hard to bring in the natural aspects of the Seattle areas, actually, and always using nature for our color schemes.
Using like Puget Sound, the forest, the mountains, and also the city as references for each floor.
We have different tones of woods inside. We always try to bring nature in, kind of remove that delineation between outside and inside. Just make it as calm and peaceful as possible. It's a very stressful environment, obviously, because of it being a courthouse and what happens in here. So just quietly having the environment respond with durability, but also just really nice things that will last forever.
So tell me a little bit about the wayfinding and the thought process behind it.
Yeah, our approach to the wayfinding here was not just looking at signs, but also looking at other elements through the building to create a really intuitive flow through the building. We looked at, architectural cues as well as lighting, and especially working with Michelle, looking at the color. Each floor has a different color, and that really helped with kind of navigating through the building and looking at where you're at. We try to be pretty accessible with wayfinding here. We use a lot of icons so that people who maybe English is a second language would be able to kind of cue in and understand, where they need to go, if that's the appropriate place where they need to go.
Can you tell me about some of the sustainable features of the building?
Our goal, or one of the requirements of this project, was to be 20% better than code. So this building's extremely efficient with respect to that.
Everything was towards saving energy. So the building is extremely efficient. It has the most efficient ideas about lighting, HVAC, making sure that natural daylight comes in. Everything we designed around the building was to be super efficient.
What makes working on the Children and Family Justice Center project different than other design build projects that you've worked on?
It's the positive impact that this facility is going to make on, with the community. That kept the drive alive for me. Every day I was positive coming to work, knowing that we were making a positive long-term impact to the community. I hope everybody loves the new building as much as we do, because we had a blast building this and being part of the team and working with you on this project.
I just want to thank everybody that was part of this process. I mean, there are hundreds of people that have worked on this project from day one in designing and making sure that we made this facility for families and for youth. Everybody was there to make sure it was the best. Every time we would draw something sketched, they were in the room with us, helping to make decisions, and I just want to thank everybody to be part of that. So thank you all for everything that you brought to this to make this happen. It's coming to life.
Every single person in this room has been touched in some way by the powerful women we are about to honor. We have had exceptional juvenile justice leaders in our community, and no two leaders reflect that collective leadership than Judge Patricia Hall Clark and Justice Bobby J. Bridge. A short summary about each. Judge Clark served our Superior Court for 17 years, from 1998 to 2015. Her leadership on juvenile and family issues became readily apparent, and she was appointed as our Chief Judge of the Juvenile Division in 2002, where she served us for 6 years. Her many awards, including those from the King County Women Lawyers, the Washington State Children's Alliance, and the National Black Prosecutors Association, were indicative of the extraordinary passion aimed at improving the lives of children, adolescents, and their families. Judge Clark was a strong advocate of programs aimed at leading our young people to make positive choices. As you tour the facility today, you will note a mural in our new cafe which reflects that sentiment, positive choices, a mural which Judge Clark requested originally to be placed on the exterior of the old building and which now finds a new home in this new beautiful facility. Judge Clark passionately believed that children and families should be treated with the utmost respect when interacting with the juvenile justice system, providing respectful facilities which house such services, and thus the honor bestowed upon Judge Clark and her family today as we dedicate the Judge Patricia Hall Clark Children and Family Justice Center. We are so happy, and I understand that there are about 17 family members that are with us here have joined Judge Clark's children, Michelle and William, and I'm just going to ask you to stand up so we can take a moment and acknowledge you. Justice Bridge served our Superior Court for 10 years. Very similar to Judge Clark, her laser focus on juvenile justice issues rapidly propelled her into 4 years of service as our Chief Judge of our Juvenile Division before she was appointed by the Governor to serve on the Washington State Supreme Court. Her many awards, including the David Sokup Speak Up for a Child, Jurist of the Year from the Washington State Bar Association, and Judge of the Year from the King County Bar Association, are indicative of the insistence that truly every child deserves and must receive every opportunity to succeed. Justice Bridge is a tireless leader in improving the lives of children and families, passionate in her belief that when children and families are provided resources and opportunities, success happens. And thus the honor bestowed upon Justice Bridge today as we dedicate the Justice Bobby J. Bridge Resource Center. As you will hear on the upcoming tour, this new and very exciting resource center will provide access to housing navigators, transportation support, legal resources, community-based services, employment and education resources, and public health services. Now, before inviting Michelle Clark, William Clark, and Justice Bridge to say a few words on this occasion, I think that we have a couple of videos we like to show.
How old are you? 15. And this is a rob tooth. You're grounded. Knowing that families are critical and their survival is critical really helps me work at being creative in how you help them do that. They don't have to be like me. Their family structure doesn't have to be like mine. It just has to help produce healthy children. How are you? One condition will be added. You're 15. Curfews at 8 o'clock during the week and 9 o'clock on the weekends. After a certain hour, all that's out there on those streets for children is trouble. They're not supervised. Nothing positive is happening. If your parents say your curfew's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, however, what time do you need to be home? Very good. So yes, I set curfews. And it gives kids structure. You also have to be there to say what a great job you're doing and how proud I am of you for every step you've made towards success. I have a social work degree, and I have a degree in public administration. I mean, this is what I do. And kids and families are very important to me, very important to me.
As long as there were children in the family, as long as there were people who needed help of one kind or the other, her passion was to support that family, to undergird them, to provide them with the services that they needed so that they could elevate whatever the situation was. Phenomenal woman, force of nature, very articulate, incredibly bright. She looked at the potential of the youth, she looked at the potential of the family, and she worked to make sure that those kids and those families would actually achieve those potentials. That's why I think it's appropriate for the building to be named after her. It's a Children and Justice Center, and that's what she was about, children and justice.
One of the things that I've tried to do professionally has always been to reach outside of my professional expertise to say, wait a minute, let's look at the whole issue here, the whole kid, the whole family, and to do that in a collaborative and open partnership kind of way. I mean, there are wonderful aspects to this building, tons of them. The larger courtrooms and more courtrooms so that more people can be packed in to help these kids in each of these proceedings. The parents can be there, service providers can be there, mentors, etc., friends. It's beautiful. But this resource center could and should be, I think, the secret sauce because it's where we're going to be able to provide the kids and their families with alternatives so that they never have to come to a courthouse anymore to get the kind of services that they need. Resource Center could be the change. My extemporaneous remarks that I have gnawed on for days. But I'm thankful that I did because I thought I had it all together until I walked into this courthouse. And I saw Patricia Clark's name up there. And it's so right. It's just great. So, that's why I have prepared remarks. Quote, a new juvenile court facility filled with promise, end quote. That's the title of Judge Ramsayer's article in the November King County Bar Bulletin, and I couldn't agree more. But let me offer some personal observations on why. First, I want to say thank you very much to the court, the King County Council, and the executive for naming the beautiful Resource Center in my name. It's the place that will speak to the kind of community collaboration that is so necessary in order for juvenile court practice in the 21st century. Collaboration that provides the opportunity for even greater numbers of young people to benefit from diversion out of this system. And two, I'll be connected to Pat forever. Oh God, how I wish Pat were here today. She would for sure spice things up, and we would not be so weepy-eyed. I guaranteed it. She and I dreamed so long for a facility like this. See, there she is speaking to us. Working so hard to see the voters approve the vision. But today, it's just me and the kids to speak for us. One of the things that Pat and I shared was a love of music. Music evoked our descriptions to each other. In times where emotions, even everyday thoughts sometimes, were just not able to be put into words without the memory of a musical riff that it was associated with. Offering me the time to make a few remarks on this occasion is one of those times. No, I promise I'm not going to sing. It's the evocation of the event. I'm not going to dwell on the controversy either that surrounded the construction, but Pat would speak a bit about it. Long after this controversy, long after voters had approved it, that we thought we were over the hard part. How awful that ordeal, however, has been for many of you here. An ordeal that focused on 20% of this project, a component that was required by the state statute, and that the other 80% was designed to obliterate. Half-truths, lies, overwrought uninformed emotions. Enough. Because in all this messiness, there's lemonade. The King County Council persisted. The King County Executive, Constantine, and God bless him, I wish he were here, pushed forward at not insignificant political and personal risk. The real debates, the kinds of discourse that you heard about, the civil discourse, generated better designs, clearer shared values embedded in social justice and equity, and a commitment to meaningful inclusion. And the musical theme to this? Yesterday's gone. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. I'll let that little worm get into your brain now. This is a time for congratulations and celebrations. Marcus is right as usual. Congratulations to all of you who persevered and did your jobs excellently every day in that awful building. You who never stopped thinking about the kids and their families. Congratulations that you have a safe, livable, respectful workplace. No more brown water. Celebrate that we, yay, all right, let's hear it for the brown water. Celebrate that we have a building that invites our community in, embraces them, listens to them, incorporates their views in the services that we provide and in the way in which these services will be provided. Celebrate that judges and lawyers will have quality space they need to do their jobs to the highest level of 21st century juvenile justice practice. Celebrate that our partners in the community will be welcomed here, have space here, have transportation to actually get here safely. Celebrate that our neighbors have a new neighbor worthy of occupancy of this space, a beautiful addition, open space in place of asphalt. Congratulations and celebrations that all families and kids who come here are respected and valued by the space itself. So much to congratulate and celebrate. But let's think about Pat. That's what I do, and I can see her now. Feel her fierceness, her presence. The music, it's Nina Simone's voice. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new world, and I'm feeling good. You have that worm. Pat, we have it. A building that reflects our ideals for the kids and families who come to us in despair, in fear, and in anger. A building where they are welcomed, treated with dignity and inclusion and respect, and given safety. Where they are valued, where they find opportunity, creativity, equity through meaningful, authentic collaboration and partnership. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow will soon be here. Many tomorrows. There will be challenges to meet, for sure, but successes to celebrate and many young people to congratulate. I am so thankful that you all have brought this to conclusion today. Like Judge Ramsire said, a new juvenile court facility filled with promise. And Pat and I will never work together here, but we'll be here in spirit. We're watching. Fulfill the promise and do justice, damn it.
So she would be very touched. Our mom based her life on the idea that all of us deserve a chance and the support to be the best that we can be. Those of you who worked with her know that she believed that for you. I know, particularly when I was younger and making all the good choices, that she believed that for me. But mostly she believed that for the families and the children that this building will support. So to keep it brief, on behalf of myself and my sister, on behalf of my family, I thank you. On behalf of my mother, I encourage you to continue to do the good work that you all did together and that she believed so strongly in. Thank you. Thank you for this honor.
On behalf of the family of Judge Clark, Justice Bridge, and King County, thank you for joining us today for this celebration. Thank you.